What did Helldivers 2 do that has made its launch so successful? As someone who's currently professionally working in the games industry, I will break down all the things I thought they did well, based on my experience working with other game devs and my decade of gaming exposure. In my last video, I talked about the things that I currently didn't like about the game. Now, it's time to talk about all the things I do like about the game, and where credit is due to the well thought out ideas by the developers at Arrowhead Game Studios. Let's get into it. To begin with, from the moment you launch the game, you're greeted with a great intro cinematic. It cleverly sets the tone for the type of game you can expect. The over-the-top, obvious propagandistic satirical elements of it create a sense of comedy, telling the player that this game doesn't take itself too seriously, and that you will be killing bugs for Super Earth as they are a threat to your freedom. A common, easy yet effective way to make things quotable is simply just to have characters constantly repeat a line.
Pop it, pop it.
Parlay, parlay,
Parlay, parlay, parlay, parlay,
parlay.
parlay.
In this case, it's democracy getting thrown in your face on every occasion possible, which has contributed well largely to the player base's talking point of this game.
Liberating the galaxy, stomping bugs, every kid's dream.
This ties into the next thing you are met with, which is this amazing tutorial which does three things extremely well. 1. It reinforces your prior expectations with the thematics by now incorporating this into your gameplay elements. 2. You can expect to die a lot, which is reflected in the tyrant killing you, and the general literally telling you that you and your squad mates will perish tragically all the time.
Here's your real lesson, soldier. Squad mates can and will perish tragically all the time.
Lastly, 3. Everything you need to know to play this game has been simplified into 10 minutes. Sure, there are more niche things to learn like weak points or what certain things do, but within 10 minutes, you now understand how to do the core gameplay. Simple is good, yet a tough thing to nail well, but I think the devs did an excellent job here. Next, let's talk about the cohesive thematics and visual language of the game. The poster of the game places all the Helldivers in warm colors, which represent this side of the color wheel, whilst the bugs and the rest of the world is placed with cold colors, which is on this side of the color wheel. In color theory, these are complementary colors, which are used to create strong contrast and high impact, which further reinforces who your most trusted allies are and who your enemies are by setting them apart. The devs take this one step further by utilizing the black/gray and yellow combination everywhere, from your armor patterns to your banners and decorations and even your ships. This is because black and yellow represents a combination of power, sophistication, and energetic positivity. Do those emotions start to sound familiar to you? Whilst the solo experience is a bit lacking like I mentioned in my other video, the co-op social experience is the complete opposite, being incredibly well done, which I haven't seen since Lethal Company, and arguably even better. Starting from even just a ship, despite the game being a 4-player co-op, you always feel like you're a part of something bigger and working with every other player towards a common goal. This is due to multiple factors. The liberation progress bar is a huge contributor, and by chipping away at the decimal percentages yet still seeing so much progress on the bar makes it feel like you're doing your part alongside many others. This is combined with the aspect of moving a ship to new locations prior to starting missions. Less occupied spaces will have less ships, while more occupied missions will have a lot more, which helps make the galaxy feel more alive and breathing in real time. Even just looking outside your ship and seeing all these other ships launching stratagems down into the planets makes you feel a sense of camaraderie with all these people down there fighting, despite never having met them. Now, on the more gameplay side of things, being able to all stand around this war table and watch in real time as your party leader chooses a mission reinforces the realism aspect of this, allowing for discussion and reducing disconnect between the game side of it. It's a small feature, but it's a nice touch. In missions, it is designed so that you and your 3 other teammates will strategize and run multiple different stratagems to deal with different situations, as having 4 players run all 4 same stratagems is not as effective as diversifying support like having one person run an EMS mortar or having another run a shield generator field. This is combined with people taking boosters which benefit the team as a whole, adding a layer of discussion prior to the mission in planning, which is a positive for social aspect. Next, support backpack weapons are such a huge win. Being able to fight with your ally by having them reload your guns or you reloading theirs is such a clever way to promote social play. There is also other stuff like being able to stim an ally and also handing them ammo. Nice. Progression is an important aspect in many games. It keeps a sense of movement for the player, reducing staleness. Helldivers 2 achieves this in multiple ways, starting with the more basic level up system which unlocks more stratagems until you reach level 20. However, the current max level cap is level 50, which leaves plenty of room for future updates to release more stratagems between the level 20 and 50 range, incentivizing players to continue leveling up so that when they do release more stratagems, we would already be able to start unlocking them. Next, in the meantime, they have the ship upgrades, which gives powerful permanent bonuses. This is a secondary form of progression as it pushes players to do higher difficulties to gain more samples to continue unlocking them. The third form of progression are the battle passes, also incentivizing players to do higher difficulties to gain more medals and explore points of interest as well. Despite having a premium battle pass and a free-to-play one, the devs have not made this system malicious in any way. You have the freedom to choose many different things and unlock on the free one before moving to the next page, which is a win. The best weapons are also included in the free battle pass so that you don't feel FOMO for not owning the paid one. And is the paid battle pass really even premium? After all, the devs actually allow the player to buy it just by playing the game, as you can just collect super credits in your missions. I absolutely love this. Lastly, which I think is one of the most clever forms of progression, is the way the war effort has been set up, almost like a wall you're pushing backwards. This back and forth tug of war keeps people curious and wanting to drive our enemies back to their home planets, as there's been rumors coming around that there might even be bosses waiting for us there. How epic would that be? I want to briefly touch on the map as well, as right now we are only being invaded from the west and east side, which opens up our curiosity of what could potentially come from the north and south side in the future. This is a win and highly piques my interest. Let's talk about enemy designs. This game doesn't utilize damage numbers and a health bar on enemies, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because you can actually see your enemies breaking down, whether it be automaton parts being destroyed or the limbs and carapace of the Terminids being blown straight off. This is a great way to implement feedback in an FPS game, as you can physically feel and see your damage affecting your enemy in real time. I love how the enemies are also designed so that you can pretty much tell most of the time how to beat them. With the automatons, they keep it consistent in the design language that the vents are the weak spot. It's a large orange hue which attracts their attention easily and is utilized even with Terminids, like the holes you have to destroy as well as the automaton factories you have to blow up. If something requires anti-armor, you can tell, as the enemy definitely looks armored in both the automatons and the Terminids' tough carapaces. When it's fleshy and fat, looking like some biospewers or stalkers, then you also know for sure your basic primary weapon can do the job. Another brief point is that your map can go into night cycles or day cycles depending on the location of the mission. Very cool attention to detail. This game's loading into the mission is also very cool. It's a nice way to load without feeling like a load, as you're simply just dropping down through the planet's atmosphere. Lastly, it is crazy impressive the rate at which the devs are releasing updates, considering how small their team are. If you look at the post dates, you can see how close these dates are together. Let me tell you, it is not a common thing to update a game this often for game companies, even when the team size in some companies are severely larger as well. So huge respect to how much work they're putting in. Let me know down in the comments what other things you think they did well or anything I missed. And let's give a round of applause to Arrowhead Game Studios. A lot of aspects to this game has been well thought out, and it's not a maliciously marketed game with a fairly affordable price. Great job, guys.